Put your hands where I can see them. Now!
Officer, I haven't done anything wrong. Under Georgia Code 1755, you need...
Shut your mouth. I don't need a lecture from some old black woman stealing groceries. I am not stealing. I have every right to be here. You have the right to do what I tell you. Turn around. You cannot arrest me without, I said turn around. The crack of handcuffs echoed through Braxton's Family Market on a quiet Saturday morning. A 68-year-old grandmother stood in cuffs between the peaches and the bread aisle. Her 10-year-old grandson pressed his face into her coat, sobbing. The officer smirked. She didn't flinch. What she whispered next made him go pale. Have you ever been judged guilty just for the color of your skin? Let me take you back to where this story really begins. 5:30 that morning. The sky over Magnolia Springs, Georgia, was still bruised purple. A rooster crowed somewhere down Elm Road. The air smelled like wet grass and red clay. Gloria Sullivan was already awake. She stood in her kitchen in a faded floral housecoat, her hands dusted with flour. The coffee maker gurgled on the counter. A gospel station played low on the radio. Something about that kitchen felt like a church. Warm, safe, holy. Gloria was 68 years old. Her hair was silver and pulled back in a neat bun. Her hands were strong but lined with age. She moved slowly, not because she was weak, because she had learned a long time ago that patience was power. On the refrigerator door hung a crayon drawing, a stick figure grandma holding hands with a stick figure boy. Underneath it read, "Me and Nana, best team ever," signed by Terrence, age 10. Terrence was her grandson, her youngest son Nathan's boy. Nathan was an attorney in Atlanta. He and his wife Brenda had gone to a legal conference for the weekend. So Terrence was staying with Nana, and Nana had plans. "We're making peach cobbler today, baby," she told Terrence over scrambled eggs and toast. The boy grinned. His 2 front teeth were still growing in. "The real kind?" he asked. "The real kind," she said, "but we need fresh peaches. And good butter. None of that store-brand nonsense." Terrence laughed. Gloria smiled. That laugh was her favorite sound in the world. By 9 o'clock, they were dressed and headed to Braxton's Family Market. Gloria drove her 10-year-old sedan. No luxury car, no flashy rims, just a clean, sensible vehicle with a church parking sticker on the bumper. Braxton's was the nicest grocery store in Magnolia Springs. Organic produce, craft cheese, fancy olive oil on wooden shelves. The kind of place that played soft jazz through ceiling speakers and put little chalkboard signs next to the avocados. Most of the shoppers were white. Gloria had been coming here for 15 years, long before the store got its renovation, long before it became the trendy spot. She remembered when it was just a regular market with sticky floors and one checkout lane. She pushed through the glass doors and the cool air hit her face. The smell of fresh bread floated from the bakery. Terrence grabbed a mini cart and pushed it proudly beside her. Janet Prescott, the store manager, waved from the customer service desk. "Morning, Gloria. Hey there, Terrence." Terrence waved back with both hands. Gloria picked up a basket and headed toward the produce section. She squeezed a peach gently, brought it to her nose. "See this, baby?" she said. "When it smells sweet and gives just a little when you press it, that's the one." Terrence nodded seriously like she was teaching him something sacred. Maybe she was. In aisle 3, she ran into Pastor Raymond Davis. Tall man, kind face, white beard. He had known Gloria for over 30 years. "Sister Sullivan and young Terrence! Lord, this boy gets taller every time I see him." "He eats like it too," Gloria said. They laughed together. Easy laughter, the kind that comes from decades of trust. Now let me tell you about the man sitting in the patrol car outside. Officer Derek Holloway, 42 years old, 14 years on the Magnolia Springs police force. Broad shoulders, buzz cut, mirrored sunglasses even on cloudy days. He was parked right in front of Braxton's, engine idling, window cracked. He scrolled through his phone with one hand. A half-eaten gas station burrito sat on the dashboard. Holloway had 6 complaints in his file. Racial profiling, excessive force, verbal abuse. Every single one had been investigated internally. Every single one had been dismissed. The system protected him, and he knew it. He looked up from his phone just in time to see Gloria and Terrence walk through the front door. His jaw tightened. He set down the burrito, sat up straight, watched through the glass. An old black woman, a young black boy, in Braxton's. He reached for his radio, clicked it once, twice, then changed his mind. He didn't call anyone. He didn't need a reason. He stepped out of the cruiser, adjusted his belt, checked his reflection in the side mirror, and walked inside. Gloria was holding a jar of cinnamon when she felt it. That feeling, the one every black person in America knows but can never fully explain. The weight of being watched, not glanced at, watched, like prey. She didn't turn around. She set the cinnamon in her basket and moved to the next aisle. Terrence trotted beside her, comparing 2 boxes of brown sugar. "Nana, which one?" "The dark one, baby. More molasses, better flavor." Behind them, 2 aisles back, Officer Derek Holloway moved like a shadow. He wasn't browsing. He wasn't shopping. His hands were empty. His eyes were full. He followed Gloria past the baking goods, past the canned vegetables, past the dairy cooler. Every time she stopped, he stopped. Every time she moved, he moved, like a predator circling. Janet Prescott noticed from across the store. She watched Holloway trail Gloria through the aisles. Her stomach turned, but she said nothing. She told herself it was probably nothing. She told herself she didn't want trouble. Gloria felt him before she saw him. She turned a corner toward the checkout lanes. Her basket was full. Peaches, butter, flour, sugar, cinnamon, everything for the cobbler. Terrence was humming a song from church. Then Holloway stepped in front of her, not beside her, in front of her, blocking her path, feet wide apart, one hand resting on his belt near his holster. "Ma'am, I need you to stop right there." Gloria looked up at him. She didn't flinch, didn't panic. Her eyes were steady. "Is there a problem, officer?" "I've received a report of suspicious activity matching your description." There was no report, no call, no dispatch, nothing. He made it up on the spot. The narrator wants you to know that clearly. There was no report. Gloria's voice stayed level. "Suspicious activity? I'm buying groceries, officer. I've been shopping here for 15 years. That's what they all say. The words landed like a slap. They all, not just her, all of them, every black person who ever dared to walk into a store like this. Terrence looked up at Holloway. The boy's eyes went wide. The humming stopped. "Nana?" Gloria placed her hand on Terrence's shoulder, gentle, steady. "It's okay, baby. Stay right beside me." Holloway pointed at the basket. "What's in there?" "Groceries, which I intend to pay for." "Put the basket down." "Excuse me?" "I said put it down, now." Gloria didn't move. She held the basket with both hands, not out of defiance, out of dignity. She had done nothing wrong. She knew it. He knew it. Everyone watching knew it. Holloway grabbed the basket from her hands. The jar of cinnamon rattled against the butter. He set it on the floor like it was evidence at a crime scene. "I need to see some ID." "On what grounds?" "On the grounds that I'm a police officer and I'm telling you to show me your ID." Gloria paused. She looked him directly in the eye. Then she slowly reached for her purse. "Slowly!" Holloway barked. His hand moved to his holster. "Keep your hands where I can see them." A woman in the next lane gasped. A man with a cart full of wine bottles stopped dead in his tracks. The soft jazz still played through the speakers. It felt obscene now. Gloria opened her purse with 2 fingers, carefully, like she was handling a bomb, because in that moment, she was. One wrong move, one sudden gesture. She knew what happened to black people who moved too fast around nervous cops. She pulled out her driver's license and held it up. Holloway snatched it from her hand. He barely looked at it, didn't scan it, didn't radio it in, just shoved it in his front pocket. "You're going to need to come outside with me, ma'am." "Am I being detained?" He ignored the question. "Am I being detained, officer? Under the 4th Amendment, you are required to tell me if I am being lawfully detained and on what charge." Holloway's neck turned red, his jaw clenched. Nobody talked to him like this, especially not someone who looked like her. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." "I am asking a legal question. Am I being detained?" From behind them, Pastor Raymond Davis stepped forward. His voice was calm but firm. "Officer, I know this woman. She's a member of my congregation. She's been a part of this community for—" "Sir." Holloway didn't even look at him. Step back, right now, or I will arrest you for obstruction of justice. Pastor Davis stopped. His hands trembled. Not from fear, from anger. 40 years of ministry and he still couldn't protect his own people from a man with a badge. Nana, I'm scared. Terrence's voice broke through everything, small, shaking. The voice of a 10-year-old boy who didn't understand why a man with a gun was yelling at his grandmother for buying peaches. Gloria looked down at her grandson. Her heart cracked, but her face didn't show it. She had learned a long time ago that showing pain to people like Holloway only gave them power. It's all right, sweetheart. Nana is right here. Holloway stepped closer, close enough that Gloria could smell the gas station burrito on his breath. Last chance, come outside, or I'm placing you under arrest. For what crime? Resisting a lawful order. There is nothing lawful about this, officer. Holloway grabbed her wrist. Gloria stiffened but did not pull away. She knew what pulling away meant. She knew what resisting arrest looked like on a police report. She knew how that story ended. He spun her around, hard. Her shoulder twisted. Pain shot down her arm. He pulled out his handcuffs. The click was loud. Cold steel on warm skin. The sound echoed through the store like a gunshot. Terrence screamed, not cried, screamed. The kind of scream that comes from a child watching something break inside the person they love most in the world. Nana! Nana, let her go! She didn't do anything! A woman nearby knelt down and wrapped her arms around Terrence. A stranger. She was crying too. Gloria stood in handcuffs between the bread aisle and the checkout lanes of a grocery store where she had shopped for 15 years. Her silver hair was coming loose from its bun. Her purse hung open on her shoulder. Her wrists were locked behind her back. She had not raised her voice. She had not resisted. She had not committed a single crime. Janet Prescott rushed forward. Officer, please! She's a regular customer. I know her personally. There's been some kind of mistake. Holloway didn't blink. Ma'am, unless you want to join her, I suggest you stay out of police business. Janet stepped back, her lips pressed together, her eyes burned, but she stayed quiet. By now, every person in that store was watching. Some were frozen, some were whispering. But at least 9 of them did something that mattered. They pulled out their phones. 9 cameras, 9 angles, 9 witnesses. The red recording lights blinked in silence, and Officer Derek Holloway, so focused on his power, never even noticed. He gripped Gloria's arm and marched her toward the front door. Her basket of peaches and flour and butter sat on the floor behind her. Abandoned. Like it didn't matter. Like she didn't matter. Terrence broke free from the stranger's arms and ran after her. Nana! Don't take my Nana! His small sneakers squeaked on the tile floor. His face was soaked with tears. Gloria looked over her shoulder. Her eyes met his. Stay inside, baby. Pastor Davis will take care of you. Nana will be right back. Her voice didn't shake, but if you looked closely, just for a second, you could see her chin tremble. Just once. The parking lot hit Gloria like a wall. 92 degrees, Georgia summer. The asphalt shimmered with heat waves that made the parked cars look like they were melting. Holloway marched her across the lot with his hand clamped on her arm. His grip was too tight. His fingers dug into the soft skin above her elbow. She could feel the bruise forming already. Each step sent a jolt through her twisted shoulder. She said nothing. He led her to his patrol cruiser, a white Ford Interceptor with the Magnolia Springs police crest on the door. The engine was still running. The air conditioning hummed through the cracked window. Cool air for him. Georgia sun for her. Stand here. Don't move. He positioned her next to the hood of the cruiser. Right there, in the open, in front of the store entrance where every shopper walking in or out could see a 68-year-old black grandmother standing in handcuffs like a dangerous criminal. A mother pulled her child closer and walked faster toward the entrance. A man loading groceries into his truck stopped and stared. An elderly white couple shook their heads and kept walking. Gloria stood perfectly still. The metal cuffs were hot from the sun. They burned against her wrists. Sweat rolled down her temple and along her jawline. She didn't wipe it. She couldn't. Through the glass doors, she could see Terrence. Pastor Davis was kneeling beside him, holding both his hands, talking softly. But Terrence wasn't listening. His eyes were locked on his grandmother through the window. His mouth was open. His chest was heaving. Gloria looked away. If she kept watching him cry, she would break. And she could not afford to break. Not here, not now, not in front of this man. Holloway leaned against the cruiser and pulled out his radio. He clicked the button and spoke with the casual tone of a man ordering lunch. "Dispatch, this is Unit 14. I've got a possible shoplifting suspect detained outside Braxton's on Commerce. Black female, late 60s. Suspect was uncooperative and verbally combative. Required physical restraint." Every single word was a lie. Gloria heard it all. Uncooperative, verbally combative, required physical restraint. She closed her eyes for just a moment. She had spent her career studying language like this. She knew exactly what those words were designed to do. They were building a story, a false story. One that would justify everything he had done and everything he was about to do. "Now," Holloway said, turning back to her, "let's see what you've got in that purse." "I do not consent to a search." "Wasn't asking for your consent." "Officer, under the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, you cannot search my personal belongings without a warrant, my consent, or probable cause. You have none of those." Holloway smiled, a slow, ugly smile. The smile of a man who had heard those words before and learned long ago that they didn't matter. Not out here. Not when it was his word against hers. "Probable cause is my professional judgment, ma'am, and my professional judgment says you're hiding something." He unzipped her purse and turned it upside down. Everything fell onto the hood of the cruiser. Her reading glasses, her leather wallet, a church bulletin from last Sunday, a small bag of peppermints, a folded photograph, her blood pressure medication, a tube of hand cream, a pen from Terrence's school, her car keys, her entire life scattered across the hot metal hood of a police car for everyone to see. Holloway picked through the items one by one. He opened her wallet and counted her cash. $43. He looked at her credit cards. He unfolded the photograph. It was a picture of her late husband, Colonel James Sullivan, in his Army dress uniform, taken the day he received his second commendation. He had been dead for 6 years. She carried that photo everywhere. Holloway glanced at it, tossed it back on the hood. It slid across the metal and nearly fell to the ground. Gloria watched the photo of her dead husband slide across the hood of a police cruiser in a grocery store parking lot. Something shifted in her chest. Something deep and old and dangerous. But she held it. She held it the way she had held everything for 68 years. In silence. "Nothing here," Holloway muttered. He sounded almost disappointed. Then he turned to her. "I'm going to need to do a pat-down search." "Absolutely not. It's standard procedure." "It is not standard procedure to pat down a handcuffed 68-year-old woman who has committed no crime in a grocery store parking lot. And you know that, officer." Holloway stepped forward. He ran his hands along her sides, down her arms, across her back, along her waist. His hands were rough and deliberate. This wasn't a search. This was a message, a reminder of who had the power and who didn't. Gloria stared straight ahead. Her jaw was set like concrete. She did not flinch. She did not cry. She stood there and endured it the way black women in this country have endured things for 400 years. He found nothing. Of course he found nothing. There was nothing to find. A backup unit pulled into the parking lot. A younger officer stepped out, mid-20s, sandy hair. His name tag read Collins. He looked at the scene. An old woman in handcuffs, her belongings dumped on a car hood. A little boy crying inside the store. His face said everything. His mouth said nothing. "What's the situation?" Collins asked. "Possible shoplifting. Suspect is being difficult," Holloway said. Collins looked at Gloria. She met his eyes. He looked away first. The crowd was growing now. People were stopping in the parking lot, leaning against their cars, watching. Some were recording on their phones from a distance. Others just stood and stared with their arms crossed. A man in a red baseball cap called out from across the lot. "Hey, she didn't do anything, man. I was right behind her in the store." Holloway pointed at him. "Sir, you need to leave this area immediately or I will have you arrested for interference." The man threw his hands up but didn't leave. He pulled out his phone and kept recording. Then Holloway did the thing that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He leaned in close to Gloria, so close she could feel his breath on her ear. Hot. Sour. His voice dropped to a whisper that only she could hear. You want to keep playing lawyer with me? Fine. I'll radio Child Protective Services right now. Tell them I found an unattended minor with an unstable guardian. Your grandson will be in the back of a state van before you finish your next sentence. Is that what you want? Gloria's entire body went rigid. Her fingers curled into fists behind her back. For the first time in this entire ordeal, her composure cracked. Just for a moment, just a flash. Her eyes went wide, her breath caught. Threatening her was one thing. She could take that. She had taken worse from men in courtrooms who thought they were above the law. But threatening Terrence? Threatening to take her grandson? That was the line. Holloway saw the reaction. He smiled. He thought he had won. He thought he had finally found the button that would make her submit. He leaned back, crossed his arms, and spoke loudly enough for the crowd to hear. Maybe next time shop somewhere more your speed, somewhere that matches your budget and your background. The words hung in the hot Georgia air like poison. Gasps from the crowd. A woman covered her mouth. The man in the red cap shook his head and said something under his breath. Officer Collins stared at the ground. But Gloria was no longer listening to Derek Holloway. Something had changed in her eyes. Not defeat, not submission. Something far more dangerous to a man like Holloway. Clarity. She had spent the last 20 minutes being patient, being dignified, being the bigger person. She had answered his questions. She had submitted to his illegal search. She had stood in the heat and let him paw through her purse and put his hands on her body and humiliate her in front of strangers. But he had just threatened her grandchild, and Gloria Sullivan did not negotiate when it came to children. She looked at Holloway, straight into his mirrored sunglasses. She could see her own reflection in them, an old black woman in handcuffs standing in a parking lot. She took a breath. Then she leaned in, close to his ear. Close enough that only he could hear. Close enough that the recording phones couldn't pick up a single syllable. And she whispered. The effect was immediate. Holloway's smile disappeared, not slowly, all at once, like someone had reached inside his face and pulled a plug. The color drained from his cheeks. His skin went from red to white to something almost gray. His eyes widened. His lips parted, but no sound came out. He took a half step backward, then another. His hand dropped from his belt. Officer Collins watched. The crowd watched. Everyone saw the same thing. A man who had been in complete control 30 seconds ago now looked like he had seen his own grave. Gloria didn't blink. Holloway swallowed. His Adam's apple bobbed. His hands were shaking, actually shaking. The man who had handcuffed a grandmother for buying peaches was now trembling in his own parking lot. What did she say? We're getting there. But first you need to understand exactly who Gloria Sullivan is, and why those words turned Derek Holloway's blood to ice. Gloria Sullivan was not just a grandmother who made peach cobbler and went to church on Sundays. For 28 years, she sat on the bench of the United States District Court for the Northern District of Georgia, appointed by the President, confirmed by the United States Senate. One of the highest-ranking black female judges in the history of the federal court system. They called her the Iron Gavel, not because she was cruel, because she was precise, because she believed the law was not a suggestion, it was a promise, and she spent nearly 3 decades making sure that promise was kept. During her career, Gloria Sullivan presided over more than 40 cases involving law enforcement misconduct, police brutality, racial profiling, unlawful detention, evidence tampering, civil rights violations. She had heard every excuse, every justification, every lie dressed up in a uniform and a badge number, and she had sent them all to prison. 4 officers, 2 sergeants, 1 deputy chief, all convicted under her gavel, all sentenced, all stripped of their badges, their pensions, and their freedom. She didn't do it with anger. She did it with evidence, with precedent, with the Constitution in one hand and a pen in the other. After 28 years, she retired, quietly. No press conference, no farewell tour. She simply packed up her chambers, drove home to Magnolia Springs, and started growing tomatoes in her backyard. But retirement didn't mean silence. Gloria joined the board of the National Civil Liberties Foundation. She personally oversaw a legal defense fund for victims of police misconduct. She reviewed cases. She mentored young attorneys. She wrote op-eds that were read in Congress. She lived in a modest house because she chose to. She drove an old sedan because she wanted to. She wore simple clothes because comfort mattered more than appearance. None of that made her less powerful. It made her invisible. And being invisible was dangerous. Because men like Derek Holloway looked at Gloria Sullivan and saw an old black woman with a purse full of peppermints. They didn't see the 28 years on the federal bench. They didn't see the presidential appointment. They didn't see the 4 convicted officers or the landmark civil rights rulings that were still taught in law schools across the country. They saw what they wanted to see. And that blindness was about to cost Derek Holloway everything. Now let me tell you what she whispered. Gloria leaned close to his ear. Her voice was low, steady. Each word measured like a verdict being read aloud in a silent courtroom. Officer, my name is Gloria Sullivan, retired federal judge, United States District Court, Northern District of Georgia. 28 years on the bench. Everything you have done in the last 20 minutes has been recorded by at least 9 cell phones and this store's security camera system. I have personally convicted and sentenced 4 law enforcement officers for conduct identical to yours. You have committed false imprisonment, illegal search and seizure, filing a false report over your radio, and multiple violations of my civil rights under federal statute. You have approximately 60 seconds to remove these handcuffs. After that, I will not be calling a lawyer. I will be calling the people who end careers. And yours, officer, is already over. That is what she said. And that is why Derek Holloway's face turned the color of ash. He knew the name. Everyone in Georgia law enforcement knew the name. Gloria Sullivan, the iron gavel, the judge who didn't bluff, the judge who didn't negotiate, the judge who put cops in prison and never lost a minute of sleep over it. His hands moved before his brain could catch up. He fumbled in his pocket for the handcuff key. His fingers were trembling so badly that he dropped it once on the asphalt. He picked it up, tried again. The keys scraped against the lock. Finally, the cuffs clicked open. Gloria brought her hands forward slowly. She rubbed her wrists one at a time. Deep red marks circled both of them. She rolled her left shoulder, the one he had twisted. Pain still radiated down to her fingertips. She did not smile. She did not gloat. She did not raise her voice. She turned to face him, eye to eye. And this time she spoke loud enough for every phone, every bystander, and every recording device in that parking lot to hear. I want your full legal name, your badge number, your precinct, and the name of your commanding officer. Now. Holloway's mouth opened, closed, opened again. His voice came out cracked and thin, like a man trying to speak underwater. Your Honor, ma'am, I was just following standard procedure. I didn't... There is no procedure in any law enforcement manual in this country that permits what you just did to me. Give me what I asked for, now. He gave it. All of it. Name, badge number, precinct. His hands were still shaking when he read it off his own badge because he couldn't remember the numbers from memory. Behind him, Officer Collins stepped forward, unprompted. He quietly handed Gloria a card with his own badge number and name. His eyes were low. His message was clear. He wanted no part of what Holloway had done. Gloria took the card. She put it in her purse along with the information Holloway had stammered out. Then she turned and walked back toward the store entrance. She did not rush. She did not look back. She walked through those automatic doors, found her basket still sitting on the floor of aisle 6, repacked every single item, walked to the register, and paid for her groceries. Then she took Terrence by the hand and they left. Holloway stood alone beside his cruiser in the Georgia heat. His mouth was dry. His shirt was soaked through with sweat. His career was over and he knew it. He just didn't know how badly yet. Gloria didn't go home, not right away. She buckled Terrence into the back seat, handed him a peppermint from her purse, turned on his favorite gospel station. Then she sat in the driver's seat of her old sedan and made 3 phone calls. The first call was to her son. Nathan Sullivan picked up on the second ring. "Hey, Mama, how's Terrence doing?" "Nathan, listen to me carefully. Her voice was steady, but Nathan knew that tone. He had grown up with that tone. That was the judge voice. Something was very wrong. She told him everything, every detail, every word, every violation. Nathan was silent for 10 seconds after she finished. Then he said 5 words. "I'm calling the foundation. Now." The second call was to the National Civil Liberties Foundation legal team in Atlanta. Within 15 minutes, a senior attorney named Philip Dawson was assembling a case file. He had worked with Gloria for years. He knew her record. He knew that if Gloria Sullivan said an officer violated her rights, that officer violated her rights. The third call was the one that mattered most. Gloria dialed the direct line for Chief Donald Brennan of the Magnolia Springs Police Department. She had never met the man. She didn't need to. A receptionist answered. "Magnolia Springs Police, how may I—" "This is retired federal judge Gloria Sullivan, United States District Court, Northern District of Georgia. I need Chief Brennan on this line in the next 60 seconds. The receptionist put her on hold. 41 seconds later, Donald Brennan picked up. "Judge Sullivan, this is Chief Brennan. What can I do for—" "Chief Brennan, one of your officers just handcuffed me in a grocery store in front of my 10-year-old grandson. He conducted an illegal search of my person and my belongings. He fabricated a false report over his radio. He threatened to call Child Protective Services on my grandchild as a means of intimidation. The entire incident was captured on the store's security system and by at least 9 civilian phones. I am telling you this as a courtesy before my legal team contacts your department formally within the hour." Silence. Dead silence. The kind of silence that sounds like a man's career flashing before his eyes. "Judge Sullivan, Which officer?" "Derek Holloway, badge number 4416. Your officer, Chief Brennan. Your responsibility." She hung up. Brennan sat in his office for a full minute without moving. Then he pulled up Holloway's personnel file. 6 prior complaints, 6 internal investigations, 6 dismissals. His hands started sweating. He grabbed his phone and dialed Holloway's cell. Holloway was still sitting in his cruiser outside Braxton's when the call came. He saw the caller ID, Chief Brennan. His stomach dropped. "Holloway, my office, now. Do not stop anywhere. Do not talk to anyone. Do not touch your radio. Now." The line went dead. Meanwhile, back at the store, Janet Prescott was already on her own phone. She called the corporate office. Then she walked to the security room in the back of the store. She asked the technician to pull the footage from every camera covering the entrance, the aisles, and the parking lot. All of it. Time-stamped. Unedited. She made 2 copies.